UFC flyweight contender Roxanne Modafferi, thank you so much for joining me today. How is life in Las Vegas?
Life is good. It's hot here, and I'm training hard.
The last couple of months, it's been a roller coaster ride for everybody around the world. I wanted to get into the evolution of your training because I've heard the garage, the backyards, behind the bar. Talk about some of those situations.
Man, so the syndicate was closed, and I really wanted to keep training, so I hit up my Muay Thai coach, AJ Matthews. My head coach, John Wood, was quarantining himself with his elderly father and his fiance. And so like AJ held mitts for me in his garage. They put down mats, which was awesome. And then I got to spar with, training partners, Taiwan, Justin and Kelly, and it just kind of kept it between us. And when I didn't want to bother AJ, I went to the park with Kelly and Justin. And it was like part one of my training camp. Like I had a feeling something was coming, but I didn't have a fight set. But I was just trying to train as hard as I could. And then now, we're able to get into the gym again and train like normal. So it's like part one and part two of my training camp for this fight.
Yeah, I heard that that Las Vegas, Nevada is back to pretty much normal. Everybody's walking around. People are not even wearing masks. And you're kind of familiar with that, living in Asia. People just wear masks just to protect themselves. Do you walk around with the mask on, or are you not really worried about it too much?
So when I lived in Japan, I found the mask very stifling. Like I was breathing in my own carbon dioxide and I just couldn't breathe. Like I wanted to be a good citizen and do it, but I just like I couldn't breathe. So I didn't do it in Japan, but now, I'm able to do it. Like I got a nice mask and I can somehow breathe through it. People are still doing it in the grocery stores. We have a lot of nonconformists. Man, this is our second week, I think. So I'm hoping that, COVID doesn't suddenly spike. But I mean, I don't know. It's hard. Like, I don't think we should go from 0 to 100, but yeah. I don't know.
That's kind of like the American way a little bit, right? It's like they go, it's one or the other. It's not like there's no gray area.
This is correct.
Now, with Syndicate opening back up, what adjustments or what differences do you see in your training now compared to the last couple of weeks?
I'm trying to keep a small group of training partners just because that's what, we're supposed to do with the whole COVID thing. But yeah, I'm just going to class, hitting mitts with John and AJ, and just, I don't know, it's totally different than the garage in the park and behind the bar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, don't forget, I want to shout out to Lorenzo, my strength and conditioning coach. Really helped me improve my strength and power over the past few years and months.
Yeah, get into the power and the strength. Where do you feel like that helps you most? Is it mostly in your stand-up, or do you feel like on the ground is where you benefit most?
I never really valued strength and conditioning, like to have it motivate me to want to do it. But everyone was telling me to do it, so I just pretty much followed my coaches and did whatever they said. I don't know. I'm still, I feel like maybe in my striking power, people are telling me in the gym that I'm hitting harder. I knocked down Macy in my last fight. I feel stronger holding people on the ground. I don't feel overpowered. Maybe that's a good way to say it. Like I used to be so weak and just a martial artist, not really an athlete. But I feel like now I can hold my own with these like strong girls who are training to be athletes.
Definitely. Now, this is your second run in the UFC. Your first run was basically one fight, right? And then now You're back. You're better than ever. What are the major differences you see in yourself comparing like the 2013 version of yourself to now?
Oh man, night and day. I was horrible. Like my striking sucked. I was weak. Like I had all these injuries all over my body. I almost retired. Like every day was just so painful. I could barely make it through a training session back then. If I'd gotten signed to the UFC, I would have been in 135, the bantamweight, which I would have gotten smashed like immediately. So it was probably better, that I didn't get signed, and then I went to Invicta and I figured out how to get stronger and find treatment for my injuries and have a great run through Invicta. What a great organization. Thank you, Shannon Knapp. And then when I, got my skill up, I got signed to the UFC, and it's been great.
Have you felt like you've been surprising yourself even with the performance that you've been having the last couple of years?
I wouldn't say it's surprised, but I'm thrilled about it. I feel very accomplished.
Getting into the last fight, you mentioned Macy Barber last January. Many people said that was the best performance to date. Do you agree with that? Because you've had some big wins throughout your career.
I don't really think it was my best performance. I mean, I couldn't pass her half guard for half the fight, but I eventually did a few times. I had some nice ground and pound. I thought my striking was sharp. I didn't really stand on my feet too much. You know, I want to do more of that in the future. But I felt really sharp on my feet, really smooth. I felt an improvement there. So I don't know. It's probably one of my more dominant fights, dominant wins. So in that regard, yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything, you know, looking back, watching it again, where it kind of bothered you about the fight?
Macy's fight?
Yeah.
I mean, she bridge and rolled me from mount, which irritates me because that's like day one mount escape jiu-jitsu, and I shouldn't have let her grab my arm, but that was probably my pet peeve. Like, she bridge and rolled me. But other than that, I don't know. I was happy.
Speaking of pet peeves, I always wanted to ask you this. You're always happy. You're always smiling. What is a pet peeve? What gets under your skin? You know, is there anything?
I actually have a few. One is when people sing this song called Roxanne to me by the Police.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that song. Don't even think about singing it. It's about a prostitute, and people are like, "Hi, your name's Roxanne." Oh, and they start singing it. I'm like, "What are you doing?" But nowadays they don't, because I'm a fighter. They're like, "Oh, nice to meet you." Like, so it's cool now that I'm kind of famous. Nobody really sings the song to me. Another pet peeve is parents who jaywalk with their kids. Teach your kids the right stuff. Like, if you want to jaywalk, do it by yourself. Look around, make sure there are no kids watching. Like, be a good example. So people, especially parents who do like break the rules in front of their kids, pisses me off so much. You know, like, I'm the teacher. I feel like kids are the future. They're little beautiful angels. Like, teach them stuff. Like, I think it's too late for us adults, going off into a tangent here, but educate the kids to be good people and blah blah blah, and we'll have a good world. So that's another pet peeve of mine.
Well, that's a good pet peeve to have, because there's a lot of irresponsible parents out there doing some weird things, right? Simple things.
That's good for now. I can keep going.
Yeah, definitely. Well, your upcoming fight, you know, Lauren Murphy, she was also on Tough 26 with you. Did you get to know her any during the show?
I did. We chatted in the morning sometimes. Yeah, she's nice. Very earnest, hardworking. I like her.
How much of the time did you get to actually train with her, or were there just the conversations that you had?
We actually did not train a lot because she was on the other team. And then when she jumped teams, it just so happened, like, I think I was getting ready to fight, so I wasn't really going hard with anybody. I remember we did wall wrestling, and I was like, she's pretty good on the wall, on the cage. That's all I really... Oh, yeah, and then we grappled for the tryouts, tough tryouts. Like, she's pretty good on the ground. So...
I see that Nico Montano is training at Syndicate. She faced Lauren on the show. She beat her. Has she given you any insight about Lauren and her in the cage?
Oh yes, all the secrets. Just kidding. We haven't really talked about it.
Okay. All right. Now, when you've grappled you've grappled with her on the show, in the tryouts, and you've probably watched a few of her fights. Now, when you break her down, what are your thoughts on the overall skill set that she possesses?
I think she's really well-rounded. I think she's strong. I think I have certain techniques that are going to be able to get through and land on her. And I have some, new stuff that I've been working on that I would really want to try. Plus my ultra powerful finishing move that is too powerful for my body to handle, so I might only be able to throw it a few times. We're going to see. I'm going to try it out. Like in Dragon Ball Z, the Kaioken, when Goku flares up and it's hard on his body. Like, I have one of those, so I'm going to see if I can find the right opportunity to use this technique. We'll see.
Okay, so do you plan on showing more of your striking in this fight compared to going to the ground? Do you see it playing out that way?
I always say that, and then I get some kind of takedown. Like, okay, so great, let's go. So I'm just gonna go where the fight takes me.
With your status in the division, in the flyweight division, you're number 5. So the title talk is always there. Maybe even after this fight, you're one step closer, or even right there at the door of a title fight. Do you feel that way?
I'm not looking past Lauren. I can't look at the big picture. It just makes me feel emotions, and I don't need that right now. That we both have to win our fights in order for that to happen. Or one of us has to win. But anyway. Yeah, I'm really not looking past Lauren. I'm just focusing on her 100% and like all the stuff that I can try on her, and that's my motivation and excitement for fighting. Well,
your close training partner, Joanne Calderwood, she's most likely going to fight for the title next against Valentina Shevchenko. How do you see that fight playing out?
Yeah, they're both really talented. They're both really skilled. You know, Valentina's a great striker. JoJo's a fantastic striker. She always, you know, puts it on me in training, and you know, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. But man, that's gonna be a good fight. I'm excited, and after my fight, I'm gonna heal up and help her train for it.
Definitely.
JoJo. She's gonna win.
Okay. Do you see a knockout? You know, you spar with her, you train with her a lot. Do you see a knockout coming in that fight?
Could be.
All right. All right. I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be a striking battle. I don't really see that on the ground too much.
You never know with MMA, right?
Yeah, but you never know. That's right. Now, you lived in Japan. You started with Smack Girl, and do you keep up with Japanese MMA? Do you probably still have a lot of fans from out there that, you know, follow you to this day, right?
I think I have some fans. Yes. Thank you very much for that, fans. I follow everybody on Twitter and social media, and I should be keeping up more, but it's hard.
Yeah, definitely. I saw somewhere that you were going to write a book about your experiences, your travels. Have you started that, or is that still something that you're gonna, you know, work on in the future?
Yes, I actually wrote a lot over the lockdown period. Every day I just, you know, came home and I wrote for hours. So I'm pretty far into it. I think all I really have left is to edit a lot of that, get somebody to edit it for me, and then write about the COVID breakout, you know, because it's not in the past yet. It's still going on. So it needs to like finish before I can like see how I have hindsight about it, you know? So I think I'm going to wait. Maybe by the end of the year, I'll have something to publish. But I'm close.
Okay. You have a title for the book?
I think I'm going to call it Memoirs of a Happy Warrior 2, Overcoming. Okay. Because a lot of the themes of the book are me going through like a challenging time, but then overcoming it. You know, people always think I'm so happy and everything's awesome. Well, not really. Like, I struggled a lot. Yeah. I just managed to like make something of it or stay positive. So I want to show people like, hey, I lived through the Japanese earthquake in Tohoku, you know, like I evacuated. That was terrible, but now I'm back and everything's kind of sort of okay. So things like that. I want to tell my story.
Yeah, looking forward to it. One last thing before I let you go, you know, you're a big proponent of living the martial arts lifestyle. And in the UFC or in MMA general, you got fighters like Colby Covington and Conor McGregor. They're into the trash talking. They don't really have limits on what they say. Do you enjoy it as entertainment, or are you someone that thinks that it's kind of a bad look for mixed martial arts?
You know, I remember, I think it was Rhonda, she said something like, I'm not being paid to be a role model. You know, because people were on her case about, you know, their kids looking up to her and she's doing something. And I'm like, you know what, that's a good point. She's being paid to go out there and fight and beat people up. Now, if she were a role model, that would be great. So I think I don't mind if people talk trash and all that. What bothers me the most is like going out and doing like being like a criminal or illegal things, or like John Jones, his like drugs and hitting people, and like Conor getting into fights and not getting held responsible for it, you know, just paying somebody off and going free. So that really upsets me. Like, you don't have to be a super great role model verbally and with the trash talk, not trash talking, like go ahead and trash talk, but just like follow the law, you know, and don't be a horrible person. So that's kind of how I feel. Oh,
so the talking doesn't bother you. It's the living your life a certain way that represents you in a good light. That's important. That's the most important.
I think so, and I never really thought about it until you put it that way. Like, I don't really mind trash talk at all. What bothers me is hearing like, oh, you know, John Jones hit a pregnant woman and got out of jail. Like, those sort of things. Like, that bothers me.
Well, I think it bothers a lot of people all over the world. Yeah, June 20th, you know, UFC Fight Night, UFC Apex, UFC Vegas. You're already there, so you don't really have to go anywhere, so it's good for you.
Thank goodness. I didn't want to travel.
Yeah, definitely. How far are you from the Apex? What is it, like 20-minute drive or so?
Yeah, like 20 minutes, yeah.
All right, well, I guess right. So thank you so much, Roxanne, for the time, and good luck on the fight, and good luck on everything that you're doing outside the cage. Hopefully that book comes out by the end of the year, and I'll be ready to read it.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.